Welcome to NurseMed. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating systems in the human body, the nervous system. Have you ever wondered how you instantly pull your hand away from something hot even before you realize it? That's your nervous system at work. This is part 1 of our CNS series, and in this video I'll be covering everything from the basics of the CNS to the anatomy of the brain. So if you're ready to learn how your brain and spinal cords keep your body running, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2. So what exactly nervous system is? The nervous system is the body's main control, communication and regulatory system. Though it makes up only about 3% of total body weight and it consumes 15 to 20% of metabolic resources. The nervous system is divided into two main parts, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord, and it serves as the control center for the body, processing information and coordinating responses. The peripheral nervous system is further divided into two key functional components, the sensory division, which is afferent, and the motor division, which is efferent division. The motor division is further subdivided into the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system controls voluntary movement by sending signals to skeletal muscles. In contrast, autonomic nervous system manages involuntary functions such as heart rate, digestion, breathing. Now let's zoom into brain. The brain is the central organ of the nervous system, located inside the skull. It functions as the control center of the body. It receives and processes sensory inputs such as sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. It also controls voluntary movements such as running and cooking. It controls involuntary movements and regulates vital functions such as breathing, heartbeat, and blood pressure. It also enables thought, memory, emotion, and behavior. Let's zoom into anatomy of the brain. The brain is divided into three main regions, forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. The brain is divided into two hemispheres, the left and the right. While in constant communication, the left and right hemisphere are responsible for different behaviors known as brain lateralization. The left hemisphere is more dominant in language, logic, and math abilities, whereas the right hemisphere is more creative and dominant in artistic and musical situations and intuition. Now let's talk about lobes of brain. The cerebrum is divided into four main lobes: frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, and temporal lobe. The frontal lobe located anteriorly to the central sulcus and is responsible for voluntary motor function, problem solving, attention, memory, and language. It also contains the motor cortex and the Broca area. The motor cortex allows for the precise voluntary movements of our skeletal muscles, whereas the Broca area is a key region of the brain involved in speech production and language processing. The parietal lobe is separated from the occipital lobe by the parieto-occipital sulcus. It is responsible for processing sensory information and contains the somatosensory cortex. Neurons in the parietal lobe receive information from sensory and proprioceptors throughout the body and process it, from an understanding of what is being touched based on previous knowledge. The occipital lobe, the visual processing center, contains the visual cortex. Like the parietal lobe, it receives information from the retina, then uses past visual experiences to interpret and recognize stimuli. The temporal lobe processes auditory stimuli through the auditory cortex. Sound energy activates mechanoreceptors located in the hair cells lining the cochlea, sending impulses to the auditory cortex. Now, this impulse is processed and stored based on your previous experiences. You see this red spot? It highlights the Wernicke area, which is in the temporal lobe, and it functions as the speech comprehension. Now let's talk about what is cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex is the outermost layer that surrounds your brain. The cortex is the outermost layer of the cerebrum, makes up to 80% of the human brain. It contains cell bodies, dendrites of the neurons, gray matter that receive and integrate, store, and transmit information. It is composed of gray matter which is filled with billions of neurons to conduct high-level executive functions. Secondly, the white matter, which lies beneath the cortex. It contains myelinated axons that transmit signals to and from different brain regions. Forebrain also constituted of the thalamus. The thalamus is the brain's relay center. It receives afferent impulses from sensory receptors throughout the body and processes the information for the distribution to the appropriate cortical area. Furthermore, it is also responsible for regulating consciousness and sleep. While the hypothalamus is one of the smallest parts of your brain, but it is vital to maintain homeostasis. The hypothalamus connects the central nervous system to the endocrine system. It is responsible for heart rate, blood pressure, appetite, thirst, temperature, and the release of various hormones. The hypothalamus also communicates with the pituitary gland to release or inhibit various hormones. For example, antidiuretic hormone, corticotropin releasing hormone, gonadotropin releasing hormone, growth releasing hormone, prolactin inhibiting hormone, thyroid releasing hormone, oxytocin. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your sticking with me through part 1. There is so much more to explore in part 2, so subscribe now and let's keep learning together.